here.
Evening, guys.
Anyone else hear that game Bit Life in the background?
I don't know. Whose background?
I think it was yours. Are you playing Bit Life?
Oh no, there's Animal Crossing in the background.
Oh.
24/7.
I've got a D&D game going in the background.
All right, guys. It's 8 o'clock. Looks like we have the core players all here. Yeah. Too many people to watch pop in and out. All right. Let's get this started. I also just posted the agenda for the BoD meeting into the chat. It always comes in kind of hazy. Those links probably will not work for people that are not on the BoD yet. The elements of that will be posted publicly after the meeting, and as if things move forward, as and if. All right, so let's call the meeting. I gotta change tabs. There we go. Let's call the meeting to order at 8:01 p.m. This is the Amped Guard of Alaska Board of Directors meeting for April 9th, 2020. And it is starting at 8:01 p.m. So the first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the previous meeting's minutes. I posted that link in the on the thread in the CoC chat. I can do so again in the actual chat, not on just the group. Let me do that for you guys, and then I'll read it off real quick. All right, basically it says last time we accepted the minutes of the previous one, all in favor and unopposed. We reviewed the all thing results regarding the appointment of me, you fools. All in favor, none were opposed. And then we added me to the Denali Federal Credit Union account for all of them, and everybody was in favor of that. And then we adjourned at 8:15. So let's just burn straight down the list real fast and get everybody's approval on that's roughly what happened last time. Fairbanks. Puppet.
Aye. Yes.
Ravenstone.
Yes.
Anchorage.
Yes.
Kenai.
Yes.
Rolo.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. So all approved. Yay. We're not making stuff up too badly. If we do, we're all in agreement about what we're making up.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Next item on the agenda is incorporating Dark Lodge Crossing, located in Juneau, Alaska, into the kingdom. That's finally come up. And for those that are not part of the BoD or CoC, what we had them do was kind of create a little packet, a little kind of application package of some information. And okay, I'm just reading all the chat, sorry. And AJ kindly got that all to us really quickly, and I'm hoping that everybody has reviewed it, and that we can move on to a vote. I believe he is here in the chat with us. I'm going to unmute him so he has the capability. I think he's age 1653, I'm hoping. Whoever that is going to be able to talk now. So if you guys have any questions for him before we move forward, I'm ready to vote. What about the rest of you?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Stephanie, Victor, Jason?
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we don't even have any questions for him. And just to be upfront, this package I will make available, because if we approve, if he passes the vote here, that is probably going to happen momentarily, it'll be moving to an all thing vote, so the entire kingdom will be voting on that. And when we do that, I'll include this package as a downloadable or explorable file in some way. It has just some basic things in it. I can pull it open, but you'll be able to explore it. Let's not slow down the meeting with things that you guys will be able to check out later. So I will make a motion to approve incorporating Dark Lodge Crossing into our Amtgard family, into our group. Anybody like to
I'd like to second that.
Everybody wants to second that. All right. However you want to note that, Rolo. It was a fight for who got to second it. Let's just do the same thing we did a second ago and vote straight down north to south. So Fairbanks.
Yes.
Ravenstone is Palmer.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I'm just joking on my brain's dying.
Oh, okay. I was making sure. I'm using a headset, so.
So Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay. John.
Yes.
Victor. Victor. Yay, nay. You're cutting in and out. I heard is my. All right, we'll skip.
Hello?
Yep. Okay, we heard the hello. Are you voting yes?
Oh, I must have missed everything.
Yes.
My internet
Your
bumped
internet?
out.
All right, we're voting on do we want to bring DLC into the family?
Yes. Sorry, my internet was bugging out.
It's all good. So we got a positive vote from Kenai, Alaska. Jason, yours.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So we have a unanimous yes. And we didn't even put AJ on the spot. Well, they're not part of Northreach. The BoD has approved this phase, but now everybody has to approve. So you all need to keep that enthusiasm, bring it to the old thing. We'll try to get that lined up here real soon. I don't know if I can promise tomorrow, but ASAP, try to get to that soon. Early welcome. All right, next thing on the agenda. Have you guys all taken a peek at the resolution that I totally did not steal from somebody who writes in that style? Yeah, I stole it from Corin, in case it wasn't apparent. And then I glued two of his things together into one slightly larger thing. Have you guys taken a peek at that?
Yep.
Yep, cool. Okay, so the basic gist of it is, for those that are listening at home, it's a lot of language and lingo, and I can read that if you guys decide to request it in the chat, but the basic premise is that if you were a regular member based on attendance, as of, we put in a date, I think it was March 9th. Yeah, that looks right. If you had met attendance requirements as of March 9th, you are sealed, and you will keep those until this COVID-19 situation is resolved and moved on. And that we will adjust retroactive, like once we start meeting again, all that time between March 9th and when we actually resume regular meetings, that window basically won't count, and we'll mathematically just move that window along so that you get to maintain your membership requirements without penalty. Additionally, if you did not meet regular membership requirements as of March 9th, then you will have the opportunity to continue to gain those credits, those regular meetings, and have them applied to that count for yourself by attending basically sanctioned meetings, which we will define later in the CoC portion of the meeting. But basically, if you attend the CCs, as I'm calling them, then you'll get to earn that membership requirement, and move forward. So there is this. We might have a couple people that otherwise would not have qualified, but we're giving the benefit of the doubt and giving people more opportunities in this situation to meet that requirement. I can read the language verbatim if that's necessary, but it's very official sounding. So, and we'll post that publicly as well, so you guys can take a peek at it. Does anybody want to make a motion to move forward and adopt this resolution?
Second.
Second. Do we have a first?
I'd like to
I motion.
motion to move forward.
Awesome. So together, John and Stephanie make this motion of this very complex resolution, and Puppet temporally seconds it before it even happened. Awesome. You guys are so on top of it.
Fantastic.
So, top to bottom, Fairbanks,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
where are we? Anchorage,
Yes.
Kenai.
Yes.
I'll say yes, and Jason.
Yes.
Cool. So we have a unanimous passing of that resolution, and we'll post that later. Oh my gosh, really? Well, oh, there's the BoD vote line. Unanimous, yes. All right, cool. All right, here's one that I didn't really write a big formal thing about, but I casually mentioned to you guys, and nobody freaked out besides Stephanie, but we're not counting her anyways because we don't care. So I would like to institute a freeze on all expenditures for the organization, and that all future expenditures for the foreseeable future need to be pre-approved by myself and Jason Cabanis as the treasurer, secretary, kingdom prime minister, whatever title you want to give him. And the reason for that is because we are having substantial issues with our fundraising activities that we normally have planned throughout the year. And so our income is basically in jeopardy. And I want to make sure that we are making our choices about how we spend our money very strategically and intentionally. And I basically am going to take some of that power that we had previously given to our autocrats of spending money to prep for events and eating it away, as it were. It's not to say that we're going to deny everything, but we both need to track it very carefully and be, like I said, very deliberate with how we're spending money moving forward. So I'd like to basically throw that out as a proposal. Do you guys have any discussion, concerns, anything that you want to say before we decide to vote on that? Or
I make a motion that we vote.
anybody want to second that?
I'd second that.
Second that. Cool. Everybody seconds it. All right, let's just vote. Fairbanks,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Anchorage,
Yes.
Kenai,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
and I'll say yes. So we're gonna have that in motion. So is Kraken here? I think he's one of the folks. We'll need to reach out. Okay, he's here. So hopefully he's caught that. We'll also need to reach out to our other autocrats. Awesome. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about Wolf's Cry. I mean, still keep planning things kind of in your head, all the stuff that doesn't require money. Keep pushing that stuff until we know more information, probably in a couple months or something. But we're just going to be careful about how we spend stuff going forward. Okay. All right, that is all the items that I had on the agenda for the BoD meeting tonight. Does anybody have anything they want to add? No, hearing nothing. I'm going to motion that we adjourn the meeting for tonight.
Second.
I'll second that.
Cool. Fairbanks. Puppet, give me a yes or no.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Stephanie.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
I always have to shoot sideways. Victor.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. So we are adjourned at 8:13 p.m. Thanks, guys. So that is the close of the Board of Directors meeting for tonight. Thank you all. moving right along. Yeah, the chat. That's fun. All right. So who do we have in attendance? Astrowinds is here. Ravenstone's here. Lupin's here. Frozen Coast. I'm here. Astriana looks like she's here. We do not have the Kingdom Regent tonight. Erasing that one. Kingdom Prime Minister's here. The Kingdom... Is Delhi here? Nope. And is Drake here? Does not look like it.
Drake is kind of here.
Kinda. Does he want to be counted as here?
I can see him.
Does he want to pay attention to us? He doesn't have to.
He is via me.
Okay, I'll put him down as a guest. All right. But she is not here, correct? It's like we're missing Chi for tonight. So, ambassador report. Not that we both just sat in the same meeting, but you are not server muted now, so you are welcome to chat if you would like to add anything. We have to pull you out of that chat. So Gwen, is there anything you'd like to share for the ambassador report tonight?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was distracted by trash can ramen. I apologize. So for the ambassador's report, we did have a COM meeting with AmpGuard tonight, and Nalaran was able to join us on that, which was really cool. There were a couple things that we talked about. One, most of them we have actually brought up to the group as a whole. One being the changing of requirements for new kingdoms in AmpGuard, and how and why the AIBOD set forth these guidelines, in particular, moving the requirement from one park at a certain number to 2 parks at 40, and for raising the distance between kingdoms to 250. For us in Alaska, it really doesn't matter all that much unless, Ravenstone decides they want to be a kingdom and they're right next to Lupin Moon, and that might be an issue, but you can always move your park. So that's not an issue if that were, Ravenstone decides that they're going to become a kingdom. Then we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Those were the 2 big changes. Hey, it could happen. That was the 2 big changes that they wanted to make with that. And that's all posted on the AmpGuard discussion for the Circle of Monarchs page, and the official proposal is posted to the AmpGuard Facebook page. So if you would like more information or you want to dig into that a little bit, I'm sure we can find the link and we can drop it in the chat when I'm done talking. So that was one of the things we talked about. One of the other things we talked about was, what was the first one? Oh yeah, the adjustment of the page, and that got posted to the Northreach page. So when we talk about AmpGuard International and the forward-facing page that goes out to the public, there's concern that the moderators are overworked on that page and having to constantly work around people who are trolling on that page so that we can keep a positive image of AmpGuard. And so whether that is a benefit or a hurt to AmpGuard. And so that was a lot of our discussion and trying to figure out what be best for AmpGuard as a whole. If we were to have our forward-facing page just be positive stuff for AmpGuard, advertisements for different things, positive discussions and whatnot, and then having a discussion board that's just for us to discuss those hard issues that we want to talk about, so that the general public who's just trying to find out more about AmpGuard isn't slammed with all of the nonsense that sometimes comes across that page. In particular, I witnessed somebody trashing people on that page that were a white. Anybody who was white apparently was a bad guy. And I was embarrassed. I was absolutely embarrassed as an ambassador, as a member of AmpGuard and a 20-year member. I was embarrassed that this was posted to our main page, and that's something that somebody's a potential member for AmpGuard is going to see when they search AmpGuard Facebook. So I understand the concern, and I understand where it's coming from. I also understand the concern, and what was brought forth was that it's keeping people from talking and bringing up those hard-hitting issues. So they're trying to find a way to meet the needs of being able to have a discussion board where we can talk about those hard issues, and having a forward-facing page that is an advertisement for AmpGuard that isn't bogged down with a lot of the side discussions that are important but don't necessarily need to be on the main board. So there are a couple of different options that were presented, and so they had discussion today, and hopefully we'll come to a resolution. The AIBOD is going to take it back under consideration and figure out what they want to do. And then the third thing that we talked about was that I'm allowed to talk to you guys about is the investigation, which is still ongoing. It started a couple weeks ago, and we don't know what the timeline is on that or how long that's going to take. But we're all in a holding pattern until we find out more. Once that report is received back from the investigators, the AIBOD will review it, and then will contact us accordingly and let us know what the results of that are. What the results of that are. So, any questions?
Thank you for the hard work.
Looks quiet on the front. Boots typing. People are typing. Nope, but thank you. So yes, thank you, Gwen, for all the hard work that you're doing on that. Any other last minute comments? Nope, cool. All right, let's move on. So there was an all thing that started immediately after the last meeting regarding Shanette Jackson's suspension. I believe after looking at those results that all thing item did not pass. Rolo, do you want to confirm that for me?
That is correct.
Okay, just making sure I'm not speaking out of turn. All right. So moving on, next item. This one's a bit of sad news, kind of correlates to the last item of the BoD, but the Three Barons Fair has been canceled for this year, which is why we are proceeding cautiously with planning other events, including Wolf's Cry. So keep your eyes open. If you're an autocrat or tend to be involved with any of the other events over the summer, which generally there are a lot of them, let me or somebody on the CoC know as soon as you see information. And we don't want to jump the gun on things, but we need to be cautiously aware moving forward that lots of things could get canceled. The latest directive I saw was that it looks like school is canceled. In-person school, physical attendance to school has been canceled in Alaska for the rest of the semester. Classically school year. I don't know if they're doing anything for the summer sessions. I don't remember if the university's posted that or not. It's hard to separate internal knowledge from working for them versus what's public yet. So anyways, things are not going back to normal in the super immediate future, and keep your eyes out. And we're just going to have to adapt and work around it. So speaking of adapting and working around things, the next item on the agenda is this cutesy little name that I came up with, and that's the most important part, right? Is naming something. But I decided to call it question. I didn't call it question. I see that somebody wrote question and then a lot of exclamation marks. And so now I'm on hold, rambling slowly while I hope this question is typed out.
My acronym was better.
No, it wasn't. It was inappropriate. It's a bad Zygen. We don't want your crap. The newbie barbecue would traditionally be in June after the Three Barons Fair. I don't want to cancel things like that so far ahead since we don't know what it will be like in June. So that's my hesitation. It's hard to say.
I'm of the opinion that we should try to hold off as much as possible. Based on trends, I'm really hoping we can start getting back to normal in June.
I'm hopeful as well, even if it is just for a summer kind of thing. I imagine, my guess, and this is personal, based on personal information, I'm not, super in tune with everything, but I'm going to guess that we're going to see issues crop up again in the fall. Even if we get a reprieve in the summer, I think that we're going to see more rules and issues and stuff come back up. So, but I don't want to preemptively just cancel everything for the summer way too early, because it gets really hard to kick things back into gear once they are canceled, especially something like Wolf's Cry. I mean, Newbie Barbecue, we could probably swing a little more last minute if we needed to, but I'd rather not. So I'm not trying to give you guys false hope, but that's where I'm at. John, it looks like you were going to say something.
Yeah, so something to think about is that Newbie Barbecue is typically hosted then because it's right after the Three Barons Fair when a bunch of people come over and swing sticks and get that first taste, and then we hook them. That's how I got hooked. And it might be less of a like, hey, like, let's, like, it could still happen, and it's more of like a, unless Three Barons is back on, maybe we should, I don't know, hold out for something else. Like, maybe instead of doing that, we could find an alternative and make it be something that's not necessarily that, because there's probably not going to be a ton of newbies.
We'll have to see if there's restrictions on giving people food. Like, that might not be the best idea. But it could be something like, hey, let's throw a party for ourselves because we get to actually do something.
Yeah.
Right, like maybe like a weekend camping event with us, and invite all the other parks.
Maybe around the end of July.
No.
No? Oh,
June
okay,
still.
sorry.
Yeah, like a welcome back barbecue. That's a good idea. Northreach's birthday is the same day as Newbie Barbecue every year. To answer your question. That's a lie, by the way.
Yeah, it's not. That doesn't sound right. As far as those that have paid ahead, if Wolf's Cry is canceled, we will probably be working out how to get refunds to folks. I can't imagine us trying to hold on to that money or anything ridiculous like that. But maybe we'll, like, if there's a bunch of swag that came with it, maybe we'll be selling that off as part of it. We'll figure that out if we get to that point. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. No burgers as the queen returned. Does anybody else have any comments about that? Okay, so I'm going to move on. So the CC thing, the credit earning community event. Basically, I wanted to have a little bit of structure around how we're giving out credits for these online events, Discord or otherwise. And so I basically just came up with a few things. Is this proposal in the event of a lockdown letting up? What proposal? This Pyro asked a question. Where? Oh, question. There it is. It was the long line that my eyes just skip right over. If things go through Ren Fair, but come winter, things are back to normal. It is going to be a problem. If we lose all of our money-making stuff, such as the Alaska State Fair, and we've already lost the Three Barons Ren Fair, and then we expect to start renting places in the winter, yes, things are going to be a problem, which is why I've frozen all expenditures, so we can try to work around that. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was the idea that I was looking at the costs of trying to get the gyms back and was like, oh, wait, if we make no money between now and then, Yep, there are going to be lots of different strategies, grants. Well, yeah, well, there could be different things. John, did you have something?
I was thinking about something, but it kind of just slipped my mind. Don't worry about it. My bad. Hello.
It's not going to be so much about when COVID cases die down as it is when the restrictions and stuff, because we're not going to be making the call about whether it's appropriate to be together. It's going to be other higher level entities making those calls, and we're going to abide by the law.
Yeah, right now the state is what's stopping us.
Yep. Yeah, pole arms and archers only. Yeah, it'll be tricky stuff. But at the moment, we're in a holding pattern. As we get more information to base future decisions off of, we'll share those with you as soon as we're able. Okay, moving on. So, remove the state. Oh my. Yep, that's a thing. It's on the table, John. So, in order to get a credit online, I'd like to say we're all in a meeting and we're all starting to text each other. It's like we're sitting in the same room texting each other. All right. New rules, new structure for getting these online credits. There needs to be 5+ people in attendance. No groups of 2 or 3 people earning credits. These events need to be announced 24 hours in advance or more. But we need to actually be planning them and not just ad hoc, like, oh, look, we happen to get a few people together and, oh, well, let's get credits because whatever. We need to be announcing them and need to be inviting other folks because the point is building a community, not earning credits. The next thing is that an officer or guard, oh my God, is that an officer or guard must be in attendance or host the event. That way we have some level of officialness to it. And the attendance list needs to be submitted to a regional PM, which includes the date and time and what the event was. And these events are not limited by region. We should not be closing our borders to anybody. No Ravenstone hosting private little parties that only Ravenstone people can go to. They need to be open to everybody. Need to share the love, share the Gideon. It's for all of us to enjoy. Guard, as in members of the guard. As in, each region has been actively trying to recruit captains of the guard, which is an actual position. Needs to be over 18 years of age, and then they can have members of the guard. So it's those folks. As far as I could tell, does anybody on the CoC want to discuss that point? I kind of left that one lingering out there for a while on the discussion boards, and you all seem to be in agreement with it and seem to be cool with it. Do you guys have anything you want to say or share right now?
I think it's an excellent idea. I tossed up an idea to my top 5 that I'll kind of be talking about to just kind of keep people out there and interacting with each other online. So I'm excited for it. I think it's a fantastic idea in general.
Cool. Does anybody else have anything? Yeah, Pyro. We're totally cool with you doing classes, especially if you just announce them 24 hours in advance and sucker some officer or somebody, captain, one of the guards to attend, and that's awesome. And that's only for making sure that people are getting credits. You can do your classes whenever you'd like. Not stopping anybody from hanging out and doing anything. I was just trying to give a little structure to how we're going to give out credits for this weird time that we're going through. So to answer your specific question, Boot, if enough people are online, if it is a specific event that you call out with 24 hours notice or 24 hours in advance, say like, hey, we're all going to do this thing in this game, that's cool. If it just happens to be that you look at the player list and it's just 5 people online, that's not so much. The point is about building the community up, and trying to encourage people to get as many people at any particular single event as possible.
What about my region's D&D game they've been doing every Sunday?
Have they been announcing that ahead of time and letting folks attend as much as they can? Like it's open.
That's the problem with D&D. The more people you get, the more DMs you need, and he's sort of working himself bigger and more into the kingdom. If that makes any sense? He's going to create dual park D&D games. So like Ashwin's Leaping Moon are in a game, Ravenstone, and like why am I forgetting all the parks names?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I think the answer is going to be yes in general, as long as he's trying to be inclusive and we're announcing it ahead of time, so it's not spur of the moment. Like, hey, look, my 3 friends that happened to stumble into my house got online, and we found somebody else to check off a list, and
Oh, I don't think it's that. It's like 10 people big at the moment.
All right, so for AJ's question, I do not have authority. We do not have authority over DLC since you are not part of the kingdom. So that is not something that I can answer for you. You are independent at the moment, and so until you're actually fully incorporated into the organization, you get to do it as you want to. But you can also feel free to join us, and we can, if your guys' names show up on our lists, you get credits. We'll enter them in. And if you want to do the same rules, feel free to apply those to your guys as well. So it's kind of yes, but not necessarily 100% officially. Does that answer? I'm just getting told to read up. I'm about to turn on my mic, blah, blah. And Pyro always does what he wants. Okay, cool. Any other comments, questions?
We've got a couple of questions on if there's going to be a credit cap.
I don't see. Oh, is there going to be a cap on credits? Absolutely. There is a hard cap on nobody should be earning more than 12 credits in a month right now. These are basically all considered bonus credits since they're being given as a class and we are not fighting in battle games. So there is no Mordred. You know where those go. So to finish that answer, Thor, yes, there is a cap. It's 12. And me and the Kingdom Prime Minister kind of took a peek at a few random folks, just kind of spot checking for March, and it did not look like we were hitting that limit. So I think we're okay so far, but if somebody wants to help self-police and they note that they're hitting a bunch of things, yeah, don't go over 12 is the guidance.
I know right now I'm limiting 3 per week in Frozen Coast. And so obviously that builds up to 12 over the month.
Right.
Yeah, but your Frozen Coast guys can come to my park days and get more. So, I mean, you got to kind of watch that too.
Do you want to jump in here, Rolo or Jason? Is there anything you want to add to that? We're trying to keep track of it, but we're a new territory here.
Well, just to kind of make a comment real quick. That's part of the reason why I started putting all the credits in on Sunday, is because in order to give a person another credit on the same day, you literally have to delete the credits that they were given, right? So if all the credits are entered in one day, then we know the amount that person is getting for the entire kingdom.
So are you suggesting that they should be sending you the credits for your park rather than just entering the credits for people from your park that attend?
Well, see, like what Frozen Coast is doing right now is we have our Google form, so all the credits are recorded for the entire week. At the end of the week, we are putting those in as a Sunday credit, so it's not spread over, all over the week, but it's on one day. And the reasoning I did that is so that I can maintain the amount of credits a person gets. Because in order to give them, change them from 1 credit to 2 credits, you got to go in, you got to delete their first credit and then give them 2 credits. So if Rosedath got a 3 credits entered on Sunday for Frozen Coast events, but he also went to the Ravenstone event throughout that week, Ravenstone could not enter a credit for Ravenstone because Rosedath already had a credit in Frozen Coast. Does that make sense?
It doesn't stop you, actually.
No, because if, let's say, Rosedath went to Frozen Coast Park on Sunday, your ANS on Wednesday, your fighters practice on Thursday, what stops you from coming to our ANS on Tuesday and Saturday and getting another 2 credits?
I guess I've only entered things from my park, but and it's purely an assumption, I guess, that was a holdup, but obviously I was wrong.
Yeah, it's something that Nolarian and I were looking at recently, because that's been a concern that we could potentially have to remove credits from people if they went over the 12. We did look. There were a couple that were over 12, but they went to park days, so they were able to go over that 12, because we did have, I think, 2 park days in March, but we didn't have anybody that had more than 12 bonus credits.
So is there a way, other than keeping an eye on everybody that's entered, is there a way to maybe reach out to somebody in the org to have a report almost generated that can give us a kingdom's, how would you do it? It would be like a kingdom's persona credit amount for the month or something? Or does that report already exist?
That report kind of exists, except for we're in a weird time where every credit earned is... The org does weird things, and you have to interpret what it's trying to report to you. And since I don't know the formulas that the reports are based off of, it gets a little harder to interpret those reports. Basically, this is an issue that Jason and I were discussing, and we had casually determined that it looked like people were, for the most part, behaving themselves, and we hoped that was going to continue, and we were going to watch it for April, I think was effectively our plan. If this is something we really want to clamp down on and make force everybody to behave, we can do so, but it's going to be very involved, and as we're discussing, we're going to have to track things externally. We almost need to track them outside of the org, and then mass enter them at the end of each week or month or whatever, and change them. On that note, I think I'll pass that issue over to Rollo and the Chancellor's Council to discuss and manage, so we don't get stuck here all night. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay. As Rollo's like, I don't hear nothing. My phone's broken.
Oh no, he heard.
He heard? Okay. Alrighty, so let's move on to the fun one. Speaking of Chancellor's Council, letters of intent for regional prime ministers are both open and due by April 20th at... Is that right? Seriously? April 20th at 4 a.m. So make sure you get those in on the 19th, guys. And so Fairbanks has 2. We've got at least one in Kenai. I saw one for Ravenstone. I have not seen one for Icefire Bay nor Anchorage yet. that sound right? I think those two are empty.
Yep.
Okay. So we have a lot of work coming your way, guys. Please don't let that deter you or scare you.
I heard a rumor that Icefire Bay has,
Do they? Okay.
just not posted yet.
Hopefully we'll see that here soon. But again, April 19th, you have 10 days. Well, not really 19th. It's April 20th at 4 a.m. And yeah, there's lots of jokes about the date. The time is ridiculous, though. So, about 10 days, get those letters of intent in for regional prime ministers. And speaking of regional prime ministers, what about Icefire Bay? What about them? That awkward. People are typing. Oh, I was saying that I had not seen any letters of intent submitted for Icefire Bay prime ministers or for Lupin Moon, but then somebody was chiming in and saying that there's a rumor that maybe somebody will be submitting a letter of intent for Icefire Bay, but that's just not official and online yet. So that was okay, cool. Speaking of voting, obviously we have no in-person meetings, and so we have not always, but we have the provisions already available to accept votes online via messenger or email contact, or just basically online submissions to those that are running for the votes. So expect those votes to be online. We probably will not be doing paper ballots for the voting for regional PMs. Always done here in Lupin. Okay. Details for those will be forthcoming on like who to submit, who's coordinating those, and who's running those elections. So kind of watch for those details as we get closer to the actual election date. And that is all I had on the list. Does anybody have anything else they want to add? And that could include the populace, because there is a line item that says populace questions and concerns. This is your moment to shine, Mordred. But you have already left the chat. No. Next. No was the Thor. Next. Boot.
People are taking too long. Let's go.
Right. Oh, people think they want to talk. I don't know if we allow that here. How come her name doesn't show up in alphabetical order? I don't see her. Oh, there it is. Got it. You are unmuted.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I was wondering what the exact time that we were going to be calling off events when we know further. I know that we hadn't really planned on calling them until the very last minute that we could, but do we have a set time and date where we think it's a good idea? Are we looking at the say for here in Anchorage, are we looking at the governor's mandate of April 21st? Do we have any information like that?
What is it that you're implying about the April 21st date? What is it that you think that means?
So the shelter in place mandate is being reevaluated on April 21st, or by April 21st. And is that, are we waiting for news from that point to kind of see what we want to do with our summer events? Again, I'm trying to make any sort of sense of any timeline that we might be able to have or project, because we do kind of have a restless populace. So any numbers or actual like firm-ish things that we can have people looking forward to would be great.
So the question is like, when should you expect to know what we know, or like what we plan to do, or our decision?
yeah, do we have any sort of timeline at all that we are looking at of, hey, we're going to revisit when doing this? Do we have a like, okay, we're going to reevaluate Wolf's Cry 2 months beforehand, 3 months beforehand, or what have you? Do we have any?
I think it's going to be based on event and based on expected participation in said event. So the first one on the docket that I could think of would be mid-rains. And as soon as we're done with this meeting here, I am, in all honesty, about to probably pop into a closed session with my folks and tell them all that they're probably going to do their mid-rain, or that they are going to do their mid-rains virtually and not be doing them in person. The next event that I can think of off the top of my head would be Solstice War at the end of May, and I'm thinking that that is going to need to be called probably about May 1st would be the latest I think that we would hold off on that.
Okay.
I'm kind of making that date up at the top of my head. I'm staring at the dates of the weekend because it's currently like Solstice War is scheduled for the 30th. Is that right?
22nd.
Oh, it's the even earlier in the week. Okay, the 22nd through the 24th. Okay. Honestly, that one's probably on the chopping block. Everything outside of that range, I don't really want to start thinking about hacking yet. And that's just me being hopeful, I think.
All right, sounds good. So that answers most of it. Or just because of the uncertainty of the situation, we don't have like a set, hey, we're going to evaluate this a month from due time and all of that.
No.
We're just kind of going by what we can based on government.
Yeah, because if we get the information tomorrow saying, hey, you guys, like, nothing is happening through June 30th, we won't wait until June 1st to tell you that the June events are canceled, or May, whatever, to tell you the June events are canceled. If we get that information, we'll just make the call, most likely, unless there's some ambiguity or, wiggle room in there.
All right, sounds good. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm autocrating 3 separate events, both in the summer and in the fall, and I'm kind of trying to look at a calendar for me, knowing which one's still on, which ones are being moved, all of that fun stuff. So I thank you guys. I appreciate your.
I'm going to pop in here just real quick because I know Rowan was talking about the mandates. So the latest update today was the one that really is affecting us is the one that comes from the stay at home mandate, where we're supposed to it was set to expire this weekend, and they extended it 2 weeks, and they're pretty much playing this thing like 2 weeks at a time. I know they canceled school through the rest of the year, but actually that was a pretty smart move because it didn't quite make sense to let kids go back to school for 3 weeks and then turn around and set them free. And so we're kind of playing this like I said, a 2-week game at this point. From what I know is that they're anticipating Alaska to peak around April 19th when it comes to all their cases. So I'm hoping at that point we're going to start to see things die down, and hopefully we can come out of this in May and start looking in our June events, and we're going to actually start being able to hang out again and by June at the 1st. I was hoping by May, but it's really looking more like June 1st at this point. So that's kind of what I know. And then again, so the April 21st, the governor's going to reevaluate the stay at home mandate and stay 6 feet away from each other. And we might get lucky and get to come back together in May, but most likely not.
Yeah, it's a sucky sit and watch scenario as we watch the world crumble around us. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about before I drag everybody into a hopefully quick closed session?
Ty talked about changing the voting method. with the whole Ty knows what it's called, and he's typing right now. I'm depending on you, Ty. What's it called? Above, he referenced it as single transferable, specifically for elections where there are more than 2 people running. Single transferable vote. There you go.
Yes, that's among the list of things we need to hash out and figure out and change for our admin manual. Among the work that we were discussing internally about defining how votes for all things work.
All right. And for everyone who doesn't know, it's it's the whole like there's 3 candidates. This person's my first choice. This person's my second choice, and this person's my third choice. And then you go based on that. So if you vote somebody for your first point, it's like giving them a certain amount of points, and then whoever has the most points wins the vote. It's an interesting dealio.
If you want to work on Ty, if you want to work on writing up the official language and how it would fit into the admin manual for running elections, that would expedite the process. I agree with and would probably support such a rewrite, but my bandwidth for doing that at the moment, awesome. You don't even have to finish that.
Easily many.
Just don't try to sneak in anything silly. Discord's dropping voice. Oh man, I'm just watching the.
Your voice is coming out.
Yeah, it's trying to reconnect. Discord's having a hard time right now.
Thank goodness it's not just me.
No, all these platforms are getting hit super hard. Try buying a webcam right now. Or a headset. Seriously, it's terrible. A $50 webcam right now is going for $275.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oof.
That was the only one I could find for sale online. That was cheap. I didn't buy it, of course. I gave them the finger, applauded them for their, capitalism, and then moved on with my life laughing. All right, so I think we will call. Yeah, there's issues with that too. All right, let's call the meeting for tonight. So thanks everybody for attending, and CoC members, if we could drop down so I could tell you the thing that I've already told you and told everybody else. Let's drop down a channel. Thanks guys. Have a good night.
Ciao.
Thanks for stopping in.